Almost 2,000 hours, way too much money, and a lot of blood, sweat and tears. The R33 GTR is finally finished. So the last time you'll have seen the R33 GTR is when we debuted it at Petrol Hedonism Underground in Wembley, where we got Sponsor's Choice Award for the paint. Now, the car wasn't finished at that point at all. There was quite a lot still left to do. And over the last 6 months, we've been doing all those bits. So since then, we've took the car to a ton of shows, including, hopefully you remember them all, we got sanctioned, won Best Paint, which for us, it's what we do. That's the best trophy we could have won at that show. We won a Best in Show at Jap Show Finale at Santa Pod. Again, awesome show. We won Top 15 at Ultimate Stance last weekend. There's a lot of nice cars there, so that was awesome. Dave Kindig Award. That guy is an absolute legend. So for him to choose my car was absolutely brilliant. We won that at Petrol Hedonism Live. And the biggest one for us to win was at Gravity, where we got Best in Show, where for me, that is the best one you can win in the UK. For me, that is the biggest car show in the UK for cars like this. So it's done well. It's done really, really well. And a lot of those shows, like I said, the car wasn't actually fully finished. And over the last 6 months, we've been finishing off all of those final details to get this thing running and finally get it MOT'd. Then while the car looked finished at all these shows that we were taking to, and everything that you could see actually was finished. It was the small details that needed the work, and the small details generally take the longest to do, which is why they weren't finished. So the car didn't run at a lot of these shows, and we were pushing it into place, which, to be fair, it's a big car and there's a lot of hard work. So over the last 6 months, we've been finishing all those little details off, such as getting the engine to run, finishing all those little bits off, bits underneath, and finishing off the exhaust. So the car, when I got it, came with a HKS silent power exhaust system, which is a really nice, expensive exhaust, but the center box was dented and smashed up because the car sat so low. So best thing to do is chop it out and put a straight through piece in there. But it wasn't that simple. I had to put quite a few pieces in there to get the back box sitting exactly where I wanted it to sit. We decided to wrap the exhaust in heat wrap. And this stuff is brilliant, absolutely awesome. So to put this on, what you do is soak it in water first so it's a little bit more malleable, and wrap it nice and tight with a stainless steel tie wrap on either end. It's that simple, but it works brilliantly. Next job on the R33 is, this is the boot hinge, and these gas struts are knackered and the boot keeps falling on the head. So bought these new gas struts, but because you can't get genuine struts for this anymore, so I found these, but all the ends are different. So what we're gonna have to do is unscrew that end there, which is dead simple, and use the brackets off the standard one. So what we're gonna have to do, and you can't even take that off, which is really weird, because generally with the gas strut, you can just pop them off. It's a 5-minute job, if that, to change a boot gas strut. So you have to chop that through there to release that. Chop that hinge off there, drill a hole in it, and then we can bolt it to the other one. A little bit of paint and put them back on the car. So when we first finished the car ready for Wembley show, I just didn't have time to finish these rear spats. So literally double side tape them to the car and one bolt underneath. Now you'll see a lot of cars, they don't fit brilliantly off the shelf. So before paint, we actually modified these quite a bit so they fit as well as possible. So making the oil lines up for the R33 GTR at the minute. Now I've gone for the braided black nylon hoses. These look great. Dash 10. Now these ends are going to go from the oil cooler at the front round onto the side of the block for the oil filter mount. So there's a couple of ways. The easiest way of doing these I've found is to literally cut them again. They always come cut, whatever, I think there's 2 meters here. If they're slightly frayed on the ends, you're gonna have a nightmare putting these ends on. They have to be perfect. So what we always do, put a masking tape on there, do a fresh cut with an angle grinder. So it's a 2-piece fitting. That piece will literally just push onto the end there, which you can, it's a really tight fit, which is why you need a perfect cut around there. Then a bit of oil onto there, that pushes into there, and then you screw the two together and they lock in nice and tight. Brilliant fittings. So first thing to do, cut that straight through, nice and straight, 90-degree cut. Then hopefully we can get this on nice and easy. Okay, so Let's put a little bit of oil in the threads as well. As you can see, I've taped up the vise here. There's vice grips you can get for this, and I used to have one till it went walkies. And you don't have to have the proper AN spanners either. You can just use an adjustable, put some masking tape around there, because these are aluminium anodized and they do mark very easily. So you just have to be that little bit more careful with them. There we go. And that is all the way home now. So you can really just about get your fingernail in there. You know it's pretty much all the way up. Now to be fair, you can pressure test these if you've got the right rig for it, but I don't do enough of them to warrant making up a rig. But I've never had a problem with them yet. As soon as you make them up, 9 times out of 10. Well, to be fair, pretty much 10 times out of 10 because I've never had one go. They just leak free. That's why I like using them. But yeah, those two are done now. What I'll do now is chop that hose in half. These two can go onto the oil cooler, route them through into the engine bay, make my marks, cut them off, put the other ends on, and I can put them in. So, I'm trying to finish off the R33 now. As you can see, there's a massive intake manifold missing on this. Now, whenever I've shown this car in the past, I took it to a handful of shows this year. I've had the intake manifold on just with 2 bolts. It was just for looks because I just haven't had the time to finish it, because it's an absolute pain in the ass of a job to fit, which is why I've been putting it off till last, if I'm honest. Now, all it is water pipes. It is so different than the standard intake. It's been a steep learning curve, and it's like everything, when you know how, it's really easy. So at the minute, what we're doing here, what I'm doing here, I've got one of the original water pipes off the bottom of the old intake pipe, which we're using as a joiner, because some of the things that we're keeping, some we're not, because I'm going to drive by wire on the new intake. And that means we don't need all the throttle valves and the air intake valves and things like that, which are for idle control of the standard manifold. So we're taking a load of things out and simplifying things, if anything. But it makes the water pipes a lot more difficult to plumb in. And this is where I've been stuck. So, and also, the new manifold's massive as well. And so I've struggled to make the pipe super tight here. I've had to cut down my cooling fan. I took about 15 mil off each blade of the cooling fan, which I know is stupid, but we've had no choice. I've had to cut out the fan shroud as well, just to fit everything in there. So yeah, it's been a mission, but have a look down here, and these are the differences between the 2 intakes. Now you can see straight, that's the old one, all standard, and this is the new one. And yeah, this is the underneath of both of them. And this looks great. I mean, it looks beautiful, but it's so different than standard. It's stupid.
So why would you go for the CNC intake instead of the Greddy or the Nismo, which most people go for?
You know, I wish, no, I don't know. I wish I'd have gone for the Greddy or the Nismo, because it would have been a much more straightforward fit, but this looks cool. And nobody else has got one. I've never seen one of these on an RB26, not in this country. I've just never seen one at all, but this might be the first in the UK. I can't guarantee that, but I've never seen one in the UK at all. And it does look super cool. It looks fully custom. It's nicer made than the Greddy ones, if I'm honest, because they're all, I think they're cast. This is all CNC machined. It looks ace, but the amount of time to fit it, it's actually slightly cheaper than the Greddy ones. And so I thought I was saving money and it was going to look cool at the same time, but the time it's taken, I wish I'd have gone for the Greddy. To be fair, I just had it fully polished. So there you go, live and learn. But it will look really cool, this though. So nothing is ever simple with custom cars, and we're getting to the end of building this car now just to get it running. The problem is the intake is so big that literally you can't get your hands underneath there to get to the bolts. Now that's giving us real big issues. The trouble is, we've got these water pipes which run underneath, which just took me absolutely ages. We had to make some parts, which I'll show in a second. to get the water pipes to work underneath the intake manifold, because to be honest with you, that intake manifold, it's not great. It's very much, there you go, finish it yourself kind of job, which has caused loads of headaches. Now this is a standard water pipe which runs underneath the standard intake manifold which I'm utilising. Problem is with that one, it's all in the way of getting your hand under there, which is super awkward anyway, and you can't see what you're doing to get the bolts in there to bolt it on. So now what we're thinking is that the pipe from there is a little short pipe, it's restricting movement. First off, we're going to see if we can get a longer piece there, get this one off as well and swing this out the way enough just to get our hands in there to bolt it on. If that doesn't work, what we're going to have to do is get rid of this completely. Chop it there, weld that piece onto there and have a rubber pipe, which is obviously more flexible. So the only thing we'll have then off this is a little joiner piece there with a little T-piece basically. And then it's still going to be awkward. But that's the best idea we've got so far. So if you have a look in here, hopefully I can explain it a little bit better. So this piece goes from there, which is the thermostat housing, which is off at the moment, but that's after going to go back on because it's super tight here. Thermostat housing's there just to get these bolts on. And of course, even if you can get them in and started, you've still got to get a spanner on them. I mean, yeah, normally you'd do this when the engine's out the car, but we couldn't. We just weren't there at the time. It was impossible. That pipe, if you can see it, there's a pipe there, it goes to that one, and that's restricting movement here, and you can't push that down to get to these bolts here. So it's just really awkward. Those two there are the worst ones. So we're thinking if we can get rid of that, we can get a hand up there. We thought about taking the starter motor out, taking the engine mount out, you know, to get you up, but you can't get in from underneath at all, which is surprising to be fair. I thought you could. So it's super awkward. You can kind of get up there to a couple of these, but even that is really difficult. So if that doesn't work, we've got plan B, and that is take the intake manifold apart. Right, so here's the intake, and you know, yeah, it's a lot bigger than the standard one, but you would still have this problem with the standard one, and the standard one has a lot more going on underneath it, to be fair, with a load of bits that we're taking off because we're converting to drive-by-wire, which has also caused a load of hassle, which I've just found out yesterday. So I've got all these pipes on now. I had to make these, so you've got all the joining pipes, which for the water, bring through the cylinder head. So I've sorted all that out, run to a multiple piece there to link everything together to basically put it back to as the water pipes would run as standard or as close to as I can. So that's all done. That one is going to have to be taken off to get the bolt in, and then we can put that one after when all this is in place. But because this is multiple pieces, what we're thinking, there's about 20 small and 5 bolts, I think, that run all the way around it. If we have to, and we don't want it, but if we have to, we'd have to take all these bolts out to take this all off. So all you've got is this little section here. If that was out the way, you can get to the bolts and we can see what we're doing. You can bolt it all on. But then we've got the hassle of getting all these bolts in. And you can imagine, as if you've got that in the car, you're trying to get all these bolts in from underneath there. You've got to put them in finger tight first and then get spanners on them. There's about 20 of them and it'll be an absolute pain. That's probably like a day's work just to get all those in. So yeah, it's not easy. So we're still figuring that one out. Fingers crossed that pipe works, and it's going to be awkward, but we can get bolts in then and awkwardly get spanners onto them. And this is the problem with building cars like this, when you buy parts like this and there's no instructions there, and we just didn't have the time to put it all on when the engine was out the car. So yeah, it's awkward. Next problem is the drive-by-wire. I found out last night, was hopefully going to take it. I was hoping someone could come here, plug the computer into it and configure this to the ECU. They can't do that, so now hopefully Thursday now, hopefully Monday morning, I need to take the car just down the road to Rolling Road, where he can plug his computer in and hopefully do it. But we've just found out that my ECU doesn't support drive-by-wire, even though I was told it did when I bought all the drive-by-wire system. So now I'm hoping a module will make it work, and then I've got to wire all that in. If the module doesn't work, or the module isn't compatible with my ECU, the only options then are new ECU at like £1,700, we don't want to do it, or send my ECU off to New Zealand and they can re-chip it and stuff and make it work that way. So fingers crossed, I'm waiting for a few emails back. So yeah, man, the last minute problems.
The problem's now, let's split it in half, put it on. Now all the bolts underneath are now on, top bolts are on, just tighten them all up, then put the part of that panel back on. Then Daz, it's all yours, my job is done.
Now the thermostat housing is on, and now it's time for this second, well, the last piece of the intake man. I'm not looking forward to this. This is going to be an absolute pain in the ass of the job, but it's the only way to do it. So but it is going to look ace when it's done. I mean, I love that. I think that looks ace, man. It's just it's not a good job. Right, so get a couple of bolts in across the top just to hold it in place. Lots and lots of bolts. Lots and lots and lots and lots of bolts. And it looks ace, man. But I do think, see, this is the problem, right? This is the problem when someone's designed it in an office and it looks friggin' amazing. It's built brilliantly. It's beautiful piece of kit, right? But when they make something, they need to go and fit it as well. And then realize that's not very easy to fit designing like this. So we should design it again with all the water pipes underneath and how it fits and bolts together. Because it could be better. But it does look cool. See, I'm putting these ones across the top there. It's the ones underneath are really difficult, and I don't want to do it. It's gonna be a pain. I can't wait till this job's finished. This job is gonna suck. First one in. It's all by feel. I don't know where they are, so you have to feel with the one finger where the hole is, without dropping the bolt, and then try and get the bolt in the hole, and then try and turn it to get it started. Just enough so we can get them all in, and then I can go around and start tightening them. And then that big 5mm bolts. How do you not drop that? And they're stainless, which is why I put a little rag down there. So I say they're stainless, that means they're not magnetic. So if I drop one, I can't pick it up with a magnet. So I've got a little rag down there to try and catch them when I drop them. I mean, yeah, I know everyone watching this is screaming, well, you should have put it on before when the engine was out. Well, we wanted to, but we couldn't. We just didn't have the time. Ooh, that nearly dropped. So, intake is on, but I think I've just found another problem. I thought that the injectors were tall enough for this fuel rail and the stems that they'd sent. When I ordered this, told them what injectors we got, and they sent everything that should fit. And I trial fitted it before without it on the car, and it looked like it was all right. I knew there was a bit of play in them, in the injectors between the fuel rail and the intake. There was a little bit of play, but actually putting them in place now, it looks like there's way too much play, and it doesn't look like it's going to seal. Which is a pain, because it doesn't straight fit. I think what I'm gonna have to do, the only thing I can think of, because I've had a look for some top hats, which are like a spacer for the injector, to make your injector taller, if you like. I've had a look, I can't find any. So I think the only thing I might be able to do is there's a little mount for the fuel rail. I'm thinking if I chop that, re-weld it smaller, it will bring the fuel rail down to the size that I actually need it, so that the fuel injectors actually fit. Not something I was expecting to have to do. What an absolute pain. And I've never done this before. You just buy these things and they just fit. should do. So I'm thinking, and I can't see why it would hurt, if I just lower that fuel rail, if I lower this, which is your fuel rail, by cutting down the mounts, cut a section out of it, re-weld it back together, this will sit lower so there's no play in the injector. So we can basically, whatever the distance of that's moving, I need to take that amount out, which is a lot actually. That's probably about 8 mil. That's the distance from there to there. I need that to sit right down there and it will just hold the injectors in place and then seal them. Okay, so if I measure that, cut that amount out of the stem, re-weld it back together because it's aluminium, re-weld that, finish it, bolt it back up. Fingers crossed it works. So I've just cut these mounts down. I have to take 6 millimeters out of these, weld the end back on, tidied it all up. So now it's time to bolt it back to the fuel rail. And fingers crossed this actually works. Okay, right, so I'm just trying to oil this up. Okay, so they're going to go on the back of that. Okay, so I did just need to turn around. All right, so pop that back off, bolt these mounts on. That should be it. That actually looked quite close, and it's definitely better. And to be fair, I think the injectors should have a little bit of movement in them, but not as much as it did have, because they would have just popped out the seals completely. I'm just going to turn these around. So fuel is in. Now what we're going to do is prime the system. Hopefully we've got no leaks, and this is what we're testing for. So there's a lot of new, everything's brand new on this. So we're going to test for fuel leaks and make sure we've got some fuel pressure. So fingers crossed on this one. Right, you want to probably have to prime it a few times. All right, we're getting pressure already. Stop.
Leaks.
Ah. All right, let's take it up. Is it ignition off? What?
Yeah, take it up.
We got leaks.
Got a torch. There.
Oh, no way. What?
Metal pipe. You could cut that and put a longer pipe on.
Oh, okay, he's right at the end of the pipe.
Yeah.
Right, so, as you can see, we've got a leak in the pipe. It looks like a little pinhole in the standard original metal pipe.
Has it stopped?
It's slowing down now, for sure. So what we're gonna have to do is, luckily, it's right on the end of the pipe, so we can probably cut it there and just put a longer piece of flexible pipe on.
Has it slowed?
Yeah, it is getting slower, yeah. It's still coming out, but...
There's no of the other end of this fuel regulator.
I could do getting a screwdriver onto that, actually. Right, so we've just, I think, fixed it out. There's a pinhole basically in the original metal pipe which runs from front to back. I think it was on the return line, actually. But what we've done, we've took the top, we've got into the back of the boot, took the cover plate off so you can see the pump. And what we've done is just replaced a bit of flexible hose, which we've put a longer piece in, which luckily the pinhole was on the very end of the metal pipe. So what we've done is put a longer flexible hose on, pushed it past that pinhole, and put an extra couple of Jubilee clips on it. So that should fix it. That should fix it, because we were getting pressure before. So that means we're getting fuel pressure in the whole system. So it should be good, but fingers crossed.
Are you ready?
If ready, I'll have me.
Do you have to press that button again?
Yeah. Put ignition.
Right.
What, you want to do it once more? Just off and on.
Hold on. Off.
Yeah, go on.
Again.
Go on, one more.
Off.
Yeah.
On.
Okay.
Anything?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we're getting pressure and there's no leaks.
There's no leaks at the back? No. Hold on, is that pipe there size that no leaks there?
Yeah, it hits 40 PSI. All right, cool. Job done. Right, so time to put the water in now. Now, I hate putting water in, mainly because it never goes right first time, every single time, mate. So what we've got, you've got this vacuum tool. What this does, clever little tool to be fair, and when it works well and you've got no leaks, it's brilliant. But what it does is sucks all the air out, and what it will do then, it will come right around. You want it to about the yellow. You lock it off, so you put your airline onto it. I'll show you in a second. That needle comes all the way around, or should do. It's sitting in the yellow. You lock it off, and if it stays there, you know you've got no leaks. Because what it's doing basically is sucking all the air out the water system. You see all the pipes just collapse on themselves because it's making a vacuum. Then if it stays there for a few minutes, brilliant. What you do then, you put another pipe on, you turn the valve and it sucks all your water with your coolant in and fills your system for you, or pretty much fills most of it anyway. So it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant piece of kit when it works. But fingers crossed. I do find it a little bit hit and miss sometimes. Plus you can imagine if you've got a leak on this anywhere, if one of these little Jubilee clips just isn't tight anywhere, like those two, I don't think are tightened up yet. You've got to try and find it. I mean, you've got a lot of water pipes on this car, so there's a lot to go through. So I'll just tighten them up too, because I forgot those. I hope this works. I really hope this works. Yeah, that's not good. I knew this would be a pain. In fact, I am wondering whether this works, because last time I used it, I don't know if it worked. That's not good. That's not moved at all. I knew this would be a pain. No, not at all. No, it's not making a vacuum at all. It's just like there's a leak on a water pipe somewhere. Yeah. So I'll just go around and keep on trying to few that I can get to. Trouble is you can't get to a load of them now. The heater matrix at the back. It's mega tight. And down there. It's so hard to get to now. Well, I'm actually going to test this because I've got a feeling that every pipe on that car is tight. And in fact, if one of the Jubilee clips was, all the pipes are on, but the way it's not making any vacuum at all, it's like a pipe's been completely left off. So I'm just gonna test this, see if the gauge is working. So open that up. That gauge should move around now. See that sucking, I don't know if you can catch that, it's sucking my thumb. That is pulling air through, but it's not moving the gauge. So I think the gauge is knackered. Right, so I don't have a gauge to change it to, but what I'm gonna do now is just see if this thing is working, rather than the gauge, is to see if it actually sucks. So I'll put it on there for ages, because if it sucks all the air out, these pipes are gonna start collapsing. It's sucking all the air out of them, so they literally, you just watch the pipes collapse. Right, so I think that tool is knackered. I do, because I've just had it on there for ages, and it's not really doing, well, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything, but it's making noise. But I took the vacuum, the pipe off there, and it did make a hissing noise, like it's made a little bit of vacuum, but it's not showing on the gauge. So it's either the gauge that's knackered, or the tool that's knackered. And I think it's one of the two, rather than a pipe that's been left off or something. I just don't think it is. Plus also when I tested that myself, put my finger on it, it didn't make any vacuum. So I'm thinking I'm gonna buy another one. Fingers crossed the shop down the road's got one. We can try that. And fingers crossed it works. Otherwise, the only way to do it is old school. Get the hose pipe, chuck a load of water in, and just see where it leaks. And then you know where you got your problem. So yeah, I'm gonna buy a new one. Fingers crossed I can get one in stock. Right, so I don't know if this works. I really don't. I think it works a little bit, but I think it's obviously on its way out. It's collapsed the hoses a little bit. It's collapsed the hoses just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is see if it's worked. And if it sucks any water in, it's better than none. So what I'm gonna do now is lock that off. Take that off. Be quiet. Then what you do, you take that off, and you put this one on. And then what we do then is we dump that into the water. And this is the way it should work, of course. You put that into the water, and because it's immersed in water, it can't suck any air in with it. So what we'll do then is put the bucket of water higher. I should have cleared off this off first. We put the water higher than the radiator. And then if it works, and I don't think it will, if it works, it'll just suck it through. Or it'll suck some of it through, fingers crossed. And then if not, we'll just put the rest in manually. The trouble is with that, because we can't get the engine running yet, because I need to take it down the road to get it running. To get the throttle working, I can't run the system up yet, which is the problem. Otherwise, you put water in, I would then run it up. Watch the temperature gauge, of course, let it cool down, and then you just watch the water gauge. You keep on topping the water up. So, if you watch the water now, I'm hoping that this will suck water up now. Nothing. It hasn't worked at all. I really hope I don't have a water leak, and the trouble is I'll only find out when I've got a water leak when the engine's running, and it's going down to the tuners to get it running. So it might give them a load of hassle if it's running, leaking water everywhere, which is why I wanted to do it here. I think I'm just gonna have to put the water in and hope for the best. Okay, I'll get a funnel. Right, going old school. But this is the problem doing it this way. You get airlocks, so of course it's got to go all around the heater system and everything. And you need the engine running to pump it through, of course, but this is the problem. You always get airlocks doing it this way. It's a time-consuming way of doing it. When you need the engine running to tune it, you don't want to be messing about with airlocks. You just want to have the engine run and know it's not going to overheat. So now I just need to check for leaks. And we've got one. Right, I'll jack it up, we've got a leak. Might have 2 leaks there. Right, I won't take it all the way because I might have to come back down. That is a hell of a place to try and get to with a spanner now. That one's coming from where the turbo sits. From like one of the turbo pipes at the bottom. And this one, because I don't know how I'm going to get to it because the exhaust and everything's in the way. And I don't want to take the exhaust off. That's not going to be good. There's like another one there as well. This is why I don't like putting water in cars. Full builds, man, you always have problems. There's so many pipes on this, it's insane. There's way more than like at the normal cars. You've got twin turbos, which are water cooled as well. And you've got the intake manifold, which is crazy because that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think there's about 14 water connections underneath there. It's insane. It is really stupid. So I had a late one last night. Absolute nightmare job fixing the water leaks on this. So the one was a banjo bolt that was leaking and an old copper washer had been used. And it just so happens that was in the most awkward place possible behind a turbo. So the downpipe had to come off the exhaust. 2 brackets had to come off then, about the 4 different 19mm spanners of different lengths. undo the banjo bolt, replaced a couple of washers, which was really awkward, put all that back together. I've still got to put the exhaust back on, but that wasn't leaking last night when I put water in it for the first time, so fingers crossed on that one. The other one, I thought was the thermostat housing, because when everything's there, I could see water dripping off the bottom of the thermostat housing, and the thermostat housing doesn't have a proper gasket on these, it just uses silicone sealer. So I thought, well, that's messed up. So I took it off, resealed it, did all that, put it back on, and it was leaking worse. But then I thought, maybe it's not leaking from there. I mean, I've just found out that this fitting here, which was put into the intake manifold from the factory, they'd obviously just put it in finger tight, and it wasn't fully tight. And it looked like it wasn't fully tight though. So what I've just done is put some PTFE tape around it. I've put some PTFE liquid on it as well. I'm gonna screw that in now, put those pipes back together, fill it up with water, use the vacuum tool. Other gauge doesn't work, so you don't know when it's created full vacuum, but it still helps. Put water in, fingers crossed, man. So finishing off that engine was a whole load more work than we ever thought, but to be fair, now everything is in. It's just finishing up the last few bits, getting it off the Rushworth Performance for them to finish off, get that first tune put into it, wire up that drive-by-wire, and get this thing running again. I said just off to Rushworth Performance at the moment. Now they've had the car for 2 days. Honestly, they dropped everything to get this car tuned up for me, so hats off to them. It's absolutely awesome. They've got it running. They sent me a little video of it. I did want to be there for the first start because I've not heard it since we modified the exhaust and we built the car. So they've got it running. The map isn't perfect yet. It needs to go on their hub dyno once I've fixed a couple of oil leaks. One oil leak and one water leak, which it's gutted me, to be honest with you, because from what they're saying, it seems like they're really awkward to get to, which is typical. The water leak apparently is coming from underneath the intake manifold, and that was a pig to put on, so that might all have to come back off. And the oil leak, I don't know. I really hope the engine doesn't have to come out for that. So it's put a bit of a dampener on it, I've got to admit, but I can't wait, man, because we can drive this thing now. I can just drive it around the shows, so I may well just keep it like this until I've got serious time to put into fixing these leaks, if they're awkward, and then we'll come back for a full map at another time. But for now, I can't wait to hear it start. So this is exciting. Up here, that'd be sweet. Here it is. How are you? That sounds cool. That sounds so much better than it did. Now I have to say, I am super proud of this car with the trophies it's won this year and just how it looks, literally. So, gotta say a big thank you to the team here. It's not just me that built the car. It's had, like I say, almost 2,000 hours worth of work put into this. It's been a difficult build. It's been a hard build, of course, because it's mine. This doesn't pay the bills. In fact, it was very expensive. And when you start doing things to this level, everything else has to get done to that level as well. So if I was sensible, which I'm not, I'd have probably just stone chipped the underneath of the car. But to take this car to another level, what most people don't go to, we decided to paint the underneath, and I'm so glad we did. It was hard work. You know, I mean, we were sanding the fingertips off, you know, it was a lot of work to paint the underneath, but now it's done. It was worth it. But of course, everything else has to be done to that level now. And you know what, there's not a single thing on this car I would change, which is, I think it's a first for me anyway. I mean, from the wheels, 6AD forged. You know what, they're a one-off wheel. I designed it, put in a couple of different ideas together, 6AD, brought that together and got the wheels made for me. Capsy for the paint. Of course, if you've seen the previous videos, you'll have seen we went up to Capsy, to the training center, and developed this color. It's a complete one-off color, a 3-stage pearl. The only car in the world with that color, which again, it's just nice to do. So Capsy supplied the paint, so big thanks to them. Interior, again, I had to bring the levels up. Would have been easy to not trim the dash and a lot cheaper, but I had to trim the dash. I needed to change the seats out. Needed to do a lot of things on the interior actually, and it's all grey Alcantara. It's silly, but it's a dream to have a trim dashboard and interior like that, especially in a car like this. Most Japanese cars, they're plastic dashboards, they look cheap, if a little bit. So we tried to bring the quality up by having everything trimmed. Hawks Automotive did a wicked job on the interior as well. So yeah, all in all, I'm so happy with the car. I can't wait for next season to take it to a few new different shows that I've never been to before. And it's not just about winning trophies for me, it's about showing people what we can do, showing the levels that we can go to if we get asked to, you know what I mean? So this is the reason I built the car. I've had my fun with it. People think you should drive it, but it is a trailer queen. For me, it's always gonna be a trailer queen. It's a show car now. I drove the hell out of it before I did this, and that was always the plan. So yeah, it's a trailer queen. It's an advertising tool for what we do, and I'm super proud of it. So yeah, hope you like it as much as I do. Hope you enjoy watching the story of it. If you didn't see the previous videos, go back and watch them, because we built this car from scratch. Literally every single nut and bolt on this car has been changed, tweaked, detailed. Every single thing on this car has been done and gone over. So yeah, hope you like it. On to the next build. We've got some crazy builds in the build at the moment. So yeah, keep watching, subscribe, like, and we'll see you on the next one.